Guttman of Shabbos, Parshas Balak. The donkey once came over to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he said, it's really not fair. He said, all the animals, they have such an easy life. Some animals, even they live inside, and the master, the owner of the animal, he's so nice to them, they feed them well, and they pet them. He said, and only me, I work so hard. He said that my master always makes me schlep such heavy stuff. He said, I can't even tell him how much I'm suffering. He said, at least if I would have a mouth, that I could open up my mouth and talk to my master and ask him for pity to help me, to take off some stuff off my back, that I'll be able to live a more comfortable life. He said, if you would just give me the ability to speak, he said, I'll be happy. So they thought about it, and they said they're going to give him an opportunity. They'll give the donkey once an opportunity. They'll give him the ability to speak, and they'll see what he'll do with it. And this happened Parshas Bilam. In this week's Parsha, the Bilam's donkey finally, he had the opportunity, and he opened up his mouth. And what was the first thing he said? I am your donkey, that I've been so loyal to you, and I worked so hard. He started talking all about himself. He started talking about how great he is. And he totally forgot about the idea why he got the ability to speak. He said that sometimes a lot of people, they get a certain opportunity. We give them an opportunity. We give them an opportunity of growth, or they could do something special, and they take that for themselves. They always take them for themselves. They forget totally about the point and the opportunity why they got this koyach and this opportunity that they got. There was a story that happened here in Eretz Yisrael a few months ago. Said there was a family in Bnei Brak that they had a preemie. They had a baby early, and the baby was in the hospital. And one day the father came to the hospital, and he came to check what's with the baby, and he saw the doctor, the professor, walked out of the room. So he asked him, "How is my son?" He said, "It's all in control." So the father bothered him very much, a frum Jew, a religious Jew, and he's like, at least say Baruch Hashem. Say it's all in God's hands. Well, it's in control. It's in my control. It's not in your control. It's all in God's hands. And this professor bothered him very much. He said, well, what does God have to do with anything here? I worked hard. I got my degree. I worked for 10 years to get my degree. He said, and I have 30 years of experience as a doctor. He said, yeah, it's in my control. He said, no, it's all in God's hands. He said, you know what? I give you 24 hours to prove it. Let it prove it to me that it's really in God's hands. So this avrich, this frum Jew, he got all nervous, and he went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky. And he told Reb Chaim Kanievsky the story. He said, what can I tell this professor? What can I show? So Reb Chaim asked him, he told him, tell me the truth. He said, when you were arguing with the professor, he said, were you really bothered about the Kvod Shemayim? Were you really bothered about God's name? Or you wanted to do it for your own, to show that you're going to win this argument? And he said, the truth is, I'll tell you the truth. He said, in the beginning, I was thinking maybe, in the beginning, it bothered me really, the Kvod Shemayim. But later on, I was thinking, maybe I really had that little feeling that I want to win this argument. He said, listen, if in the beginning it was really for Kvod Shemayim, he said, you go home and leave it in God's hands. And this guy went home. The next morning, he gets a call from the professor. He said, you got to come fast down to my office. He said, what happened? He comes down. He says, you're right. It's not in our control. He said, what happened? He said, this morning I woke up in my bed totally wet. I made all over myself. He said, I'm not a little kid. I'm 62 years old. He said, God showed me I'm not in control. So let's always remember, take the opportunities that we have. And remember, at the end of the day, it's all in God's hands. Have a great Shabbos.